Okay, not glitching out this time? Okay. Hello, my fellow readers. This is I, Dark Symphony 777, with another fan fiction reading. As always, I'll be leaving a link to the story in the description. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section below for any future for your thoughts on the story, as well as any future ideas you may have for readings or reviews. Oh, and please leave a link on. Please click on the bell when you click on the subscription. I completely forgot about that. For any future videos you want to see from me, whether it be my fan fiction readings or reviews, my crazy mind episodes, as well as any of my Let's Plays like Spider-Man and Resident Evil 0, which is coming out. Hopefully I can get the first video out tomorrow and then alternate between Spider-Man and Resident Evil 0. So the story I'm going to review is called Spidey and Kim. It's a Spider-Man Kim Possible crossover. That's a new one. And it's written by Cornholio 4. I am Cornholio. I need TP for my bunghole. Where did that come from? So let's get started on the review. Reading. So let's see. Kim watches a news report of J. Jonah Jameson calling her an even worse menace than Spider-Man. She decides to track down the wall crawler so she can ask how he deals with it. It's like shipping a Spidey and Kim one-shot. Okay, it's a humor story. It's rated T. Okay. Let's get started. It's not a long story. It's only about 1,500 words. In a home at Middleton, Kim Possible was at home watching the news on the TV. In other words, noted news freelance adventurer Kim Possible has saved the life of noted philanthropist Martin Lee. Mr. Lee had been held hostage by terrorist organization Zodiac until Miss Possible swooped in and rescued the billionaire. That should be rescued. 1 grama error. All in a day's work, Kim said out loud with a smile as she was receiving congratulations from her parents. Then a newscaster said they have Daily Bugle Communications owner, founder, and CEO J. Jonah Jameson. Do you know what? Something funny? I know I'm getting off topic, but this is kind of funny. Whenever I hear about J. Jonah Jameson, as a wrestling fan, I immediately draw comparisons between him and Vince McMahon, who owns World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, whatever you call it. They just remind me so much of each other. It's like I wonder if Jameson is an actual reference to McMahon. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, because they remind me so much of each other. Let me get back to the story. J. Jonah Jameson wanted to say something about Kim. The TV now showed Jameson a gray-haired man, a mustache, and dark blue business suit. People love to praise the teenager known as Kim Possible, all known for her little stunts, rescues, and fighting villains. But not everyone is fooled by her. That includes me. She isn't actually a dangerous menace. God dang it. Doing that voice hurts my throat. Jameson told the camera, to which Kim and her family opened their mouths. People watching at home, if you know me, you will know that I don't make my statements lightly. I assure you that I am completely sincere when I make this bold claim that Miss Possible is even more a menace than even Spider-Man. There was silence in the living room at that. Jameson's campaign about Spider-Man was pretty much legendary at this point. Jameson then continued, You might ask why I make this claim. The answer is incredibly super. For all his vigilantism, at least Spider-Man has shown some powers or gift that allows him to fight these villains. Miss Possible is by all definitions a normal girl who is just a cheerleader. It's a miracle she has not gotten herself killed yet. Plus, at least Spider-Man is smart enough to I think that should say put, not out. Put on a mask and to hide himself. It's beyond me why Middleton law enforcement have not gone after her for her reckless activities. Who knows what copycats could try and replicate her? And need I remind you of those children getting themselves injured, replicating that fraud adrenaline? Mr. and Mrs. Possible glared at Kim's little twin brothers Jim and Tim, who groaned at the reminder that their idol had been a fake. They had to look for a new favorite show at 3 grammar errors. I should say as, not at. It's better. As her stunt show had been canceled. The newsletter then told Jameson, Mr. Jameson, we have a caller, Mr. Ron Stoppable. Kim pretty much groaned, shuddering to think that what Ron will say on live TV. I'm gonna imagine he's gonna open his mouth, insert foot. Ron's voice was heard on the TV telling Jameson, "Hey there, Mr. Mustache. KP is my partner, my best friend, who spends her time saving the world. How dare you badmouth her and her good deeds?" Jameson shook his head and responded, "Ah, yes, Mr. Possible Psychic. Miss Possible Psychic. Why did I say Mr. Possible? Miss Possible Psychic. The one who she brings on her little adventures and seems to have less reason to go out than she does. From what I read and watched, you seem to be the bumbling psychic who has little clue what he's that there should be a apostrophe on that he's right there. It's another mark against Miss Possible that she regularly endangers the people she calls her friends by bringing them with her." Ron's voice responded getting angry. "We're a team. I've helped her plenty of times, and I have talents related to Monkey Fist. I am the creator of the Nako. Who cares? It's not a real thing." Jameson then gave a mocking clap as he sarcastically said, "Oh yes, forget about Dr. Abraham Erskine, who managed to use wartime chemicals and science to create one of this country's greatest premier superheroes." Abraham Erskine? Who is... I'm going to look that up as it goes on. Or Tony Stark who built a weaponized suit which could take an army. This teenager put tacos in a nacho. Tried once more. I thought it would be better if I tried making my own. At another better nacho restaurant. Now excuse me while I get off the air and go push Roman Reigns onto the fence. Because I have balls the size of grapefruits. I'm getting a little too little into my McMahon voice. But god dang, that voice hurt. Doing that voice hurts a lot. The insult at Buena Nacho pretty much caused Ron to scream angrily into his phone, causing Jameson to motion for him to be cut off. Kim had her face in her hands through all this and decided to just run to her room. I would too. Knew it. Ron, open mouth, insert foot. Timestamp.
3 days later.
You can tell I watch way too much SpongeBob. I know my fandoms. Where there were talks at school about the news broadcast, some snide remarks from Bonnie Walkwaller, but for the most part, most of the laughs were being directed at Ron for his outburst. She let Ron know how mad she was at the moment for embarrassing her. Still, she could not help but wonder about Jameson's remarks. She had done a lot of good work, but was she really endangering himself and Ron? Has she just been lucky? I mean, considering the fact, Kim's villains, we have... The only really dangerous one was... Shigo, and she's more interested in just wanting to fight Kim Possible and actually be evil. Granted, if I remember right, there was one episode where she did concoct an evil plan, and she pretty much just outsmarted Kim until the very end. I think that's the episode where she teams up with Draken's brother, Motor Ed. I can't remember the episode, but there was an episode where Kim decides to team up with another villain and you know, she's the one that comes up with the plan. She's the one who completely kicks everyone out. But for the most part, Kim just wants to fight. I mean, Shigo just wants to fight Kim. I mean, there's a reason the Kim Possible fandom believes in the whole Kigo thing. You know, Kim and Shigo having, you know, falling in love, having a romance. Lots and lots of shenanigans with that. Let me just check how far I am. How far am I? Alright, 8 minutes. It's not a long story. But yeah, you have Draken, who's a doof. Duff Killian, who's a doof. Monkey Fist, who's really only obsessed with monkeys, and he's more Ron's villain than anything. Although he's probably the only villain who could actually beat Kim Possible in a fight, along with Shigo. But that's only if they get lucky. Professor Dementor, kind of a duff. Motor Ed, a duff. I mean, all of Kim's villains, except for Shigo, are kind of overly gimmicky and kind of rely on the fact that, you know, they're kind of stupid. At the same time of being smart, they're kind of stupid. I mean, you can kind of throw out Senior. I mean, he did beat Kim Possible in the Motor X episode, you know, the Extreme Sports episode. So his only gimmick was, you know, he's retired and he just does it out of sheer boredom. But if they made Senior, if they do a revamped version of Kim Possible and they made Senior younger, so that way he can actually fight Kim Possible, he'd probably be the most dangerous villain of Kim's because he has the resources, he owns an island, and he's kind of in international waters. So they legally can't go after Senior because he's in international waters, and so therefore he's kind of off limits unless he's caught on another country, but that's it. Unless something like the UN gets involved with that, but that's beside the point. Let me see where. Okay. She knew there was someone else who suffered through Jameson's tirades. The masked superhero's New York Spider-Man. I believe there should be a comma right there between New York and Spider-Man, who first appeared a year ago. At least I think. I'm not too privy on comma stuff like that. She knew about superheroes in the world, the likes of the Avengers and Captain America, some more famous than others, especially considering she did not even know about Team Go until he got Ego's powers, but others like Spider-Man pretty much managed to get their exploits known about in the world. She managed to get a ride back to New York and used her jetpack to survey the city. She found her subject on a building talking to a stone gargoyle. I think it would have made more sense to put like a couple commas for like a beat. It's like, subject on a building talking to a stone gargoyle. I think that would have made more sense. Not a grammar error, but it just would have made that sentence would have made more sense if you added the 3 dots, stuff like that to represent pausing. It would make more sense. Nevertheless, she flew down and landed on the ceiling, and Spider-Man then walked up the wall, and Kim was face to face with the masked Spider-Man himself. Kim could see he was about the build of the normal boys at Middleton High, and she was sort of impressed with his costume. Hey, it's you, the one who stole Jameson's Menace label from me. I would have gone to save Mr. Lee myself, but I was dealing with the enforcers at the time. Spider-Man told her accusingly, but then just laughed it off. Just kidding. I was talking to my good friend Bruce right there. Now I see that there should be a comma right there between now and but right in that sentence. But now I get to talk with a pretty redhead, Spider-Man told her, and Kim shook her head. She read he was a bit of a jokester, plus he sounds like he would be about her age. Wait, he was about to call Martin Lee as Mr. Negative. Nothing to worry about, as she had to address him about her concerns. I wanted to ask you about something, Spider-Man. How do you deal with what DBC spews about you? Kim asked as Spider-Man looked at her perplexed. Seriously, Kim, you are known around the world and have lots of fans, and you are worried about something said by cranky old Jameson? Spider-Man asked, surprised, and Kim gave him a smile. What if he's right? What if I'm needlessly endangering myself and my loved ones? Kim asked him, and Spider-Man sighed underneath his mask. Okay, what about... I wonder... Something in my throat. Okay, I wonder about that myself, but let me ask you a question. Do you do this to become popular or famous? Spider-Man asked seriously, and Kim shook her head vigorously. Her website was only meant for babysitting jobs, but due to a typo, she had to save a billionaire, and the helping people job spread, and she was more than happy to do it. I don't do this for fame or adoration either. I sometimes think of quitting doing this, but then I think of the people who might get help if I don't intervene. Doing nothing cost me big time one time. True, I have to deal with Jameson and all the people who buy what he's saying, but the thought of the people I helped makes it all worth it, Spider-Man told her quietly. Kim thought about his words and realized he was right. What would have happened if she didn't step in to foil Dr. Dracon's later scheme? I don't know, he probably screwed up himself. Just a thought. What if people like Monkey Fist or Professor Dementor was not stopped? Monkey Fist, he's more Ron's job than anything else. But Professor Dementor, maybe. Thanks, Spidey. I hope we can actually team up sometime, Kim told him before giving him a kiss on the cheek of his mask. Spider-Man just stood there open mouthed as Kim flew away on her jetpack. I got a sort of kiss by a girl and she doesn't even know who I am underneath this mask. Typical. Spider-Man thought as he decided to web sling away. Unknown to Spider-Man and Kim, someone had been watching this from the window of a taller building and gotten the kiss captured on picture. The picture would be sent to the tabloids, causing more problems for Kim from the news. I wanted to write this into the and then there's an author note saying he should either continue doing a more romantic Kim and Spidey story, or doing a grown-up Spidey Shigo story. I mean, Shigo, no one really knows how old Shigo is. I mean, some people say she's in her 20s, some people say she's in her 30s. I heard 1 or 2 people say she's in her 40s. That would make no sense. I think she's more in her mid to late 20s, so, I mean, anything. I think the author would be more happy doing a Spidey Kim. Just take this story and continue on with it. Just make a sequel, a longer sequel. Just have this story set up, be the setup for everything, especially with that last sentence, how the picture would be sent to the tabloids, causing more problems from Kim in the news. That one sentence is a decent enough sequel hook to that you can get where you want it, where the author wants to go. I did want to talk about this at the beginning, his Jameson's answer against Spider-Man, and that Spider-Man has some powers or gift, but Kim is not human, which is true. But then you look at someone like Captain America, who technically, for all intents and purposes, is technically a human. The only power he seems to have is just more like really high endurance. Like he can take a punch or stuff, but he doesn't have any powers or anything. He just has a lot of training. But for all intents and purposes, he's human. Same thing with Iron Man. Iron Man is just basically a guy, a very rich guy in a suit of armor with a chest, a super magnet in his chest to stop him from dying. But for all intents and purposes, he's just a normal guy. I mean, yeah, they have masks, a little. Technically, a lot of people kind of know who Iron Man is, depending on which Iron Man it is. Who knows? I did like the story. There was a couple of grammar errors. I think it was short enough that it kind of got the point. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that the author was considering doing a sequel, I would say just get rid of Kim kissing Spider-Man. Spider-Man kind of flirting, that kind of goes with being Spider-Man. I don't know much about Spider-Man because I've never been a fan of Spider-Man. But, since the fact he might want to do a sequel on this, so it makes sense for Kim to kind of kiss him. But let's get back to the rant. He said, you might ask why I make this chilling. The answer is grab a super. For all his vigilantism, at least Spider-Man has shown some powers or gifts. That's the Spidey sense. Depending on the Spider-Man, he might actually have the machines that spit webs, or he might have the webs coming out of his wrist. Legitly. And the fact Spider-Man puts on a mask. That's actually, here's the thing. I think you didn't go far. I don't think the author went far enough with Jameson. There should have been more vitriol. It should have been more harsh, more gratuitous language. It's a good setup for their conversation, but I just don't think it. It's not so much the idea. It's just it doesn't sound like Jameson. It just sounds like someone pretending to be Jameson. Just make that better. Just make it sound more like Jameson. Make it vitriolic. Make it like have him take the piss out of a room. I mean, just have him be this incredibly overbearing douchebag. Having him do this is good and fine, but it's just how it's done. It just seems lackluster. I think it's not bad. It's just it really should have been done better. But overall, I think this story has a solid 4 out of 5. I think it's a short enough story. The last sentence creates at least a decent enough sequel hook that you might have some fans to get into the sequel. The idea is sound. The presentation is sound. There's a couple grammar errors. Just fix those up. That's it. But nothing I really hate about the story. Sure, there's the Jameson thing. But it also kind of begs the question over why haven't some of the villains went after his parents. Yeah, Draken kind of knew his dad, I think. No, it was his mom. Draken knew one of his parents. It's been a while since I've seen anything related to Kim Possible. I know they knew him and his family kind of knew each other. But overall, it's a decent enough story. Sure, it probably could have been extended with like a longer conversation of just Kim and Spidey just talking to each other. Would have been sure it would have been another couple hundred words. Just increase the conversation so that way you have more meat to it. But that's just a nitpick, and that's just honestly hopeful wishing. So that has been my review on Spidey and Kim. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.